All right, so today we're going to dig into um, Charles Schwab's Q3 2024 earnings call transcript.
Okay.
I know not exactly a page turner, but
Yeah.
this thing's actually full of hints about how the market is really feeling.
Yeah,
Are you ready to help me decode some of Wall Street's secret language?
absolutely. I think what's fascinating here is that what we're seeing with Schwab kind of speaks to this bigger trend of investors really looking for stability and trust in what feels like a pretty unpredictable environment right now.
Okay, unpack that a little bit for me.
Hmm.
They keep using this phrase transitional year, which I guess makes sense with the whole Ameritrade merger,
Right.
but it sounds like things are going even better than they expected.
Yeah, they've really successfully integrated Ameritrade Stefrans.
Okay.
Former clients are not only sticking around, but they're actually adding to their accounts,
Wow.
which I think says a lot about how investors are feeling. They're finding real value in Schwab's platform and services,
Yeah.
even with all the market volatility.
Yeah, that's huge. It's
Yeah.
no mass exodus like some people were predicting.
Exactly. And it's not just about holding on to the clients they've got. They're attracting new assets too. Margin balances are up, which tells us investors are feeling bullish enough to actually borrow money to buy more stock.
Borrowing to buy. Now that's confidence, right?
Yeah.
But as you said, it's kind of two-sided coin.
Exactly. Increased margin buying can really amplify those market swings. So it shows confidence, but it also raises the stakes if the market takes a downturn. Definitely something to watch.
Got it. So maybe cautious optimism is the theme of the day. And speaking of optimism, Schwab's not just about picking stocks these days. What's the story with their managed investing services? Thinking about Schwab Wealth Advisory.
Yeah, another area where they're seeing a lot of traction, they're reporting record inflows into those personalized portfolio services, which to me says more and more people are looking for professional guidance.
Make sense, Kevin?
And you know what?
Yeah.
Former Ameritrade clients are moving over to these services too, which I think speaks volumes
Interesting.
about their satisfaction with Schwab's approach.
Yeah, it really does seem like after the year we've had people just want a little more hand-holding with their investment.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that balance between risk and reward.
Okay, and speaking of finding balance, we got to talk about this pledged asset line, this PL thing.
Right.
They've been pushing that pretty hard.
They have.
For those of us who don't speak fluent finance, remind us what it is and why everyone's so excited about it.
Sure. So basically, it's like a home equity loan, but instead of your house, you're using your investments as collateral. It can offer a lot of flexibility and potentially some pretty favorable rates, which is why we're seeing those PL balances go through the roof. And again, former Ameritrade clients are embracing this, which just shows the confidence in Schwab's offerings.
Okay, so we've got happy customers,
Yeah.
innovative products, a whole lot of cash flowing into Schwab.
Huh.
But it can't all be about fancy financial tools. What about the basics? How's their customer service holding up?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting. Remember the whole banking roller coaster from earlier this year?
Yeah.
Well, despite all that, Investors Business Daily just named Schwab Bank the most trusted bank.
Most trusted.
Mm.
That's a bold statement, especially given, everything that's happened.
Right. It seems like they've actually managed to strengthen their reputation for reliability, even with all the industry uncertainty. And they're backing it up with some pretty impressive stats on their call wait times and overall customer satisfaction.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. So they're exceeding expectations on multiple fronts. But let's talk about all that cash they're sitting on. Weren't people flocking to Schwab for those high interest rates? Is that trend still going?
Well, it seems like that whole chase for high interest rates might be slowing down a little.
Really? So where's all the money going? Back into the market, or are people stuffing it under their mattresses?
Not quite. It's interesting, actually. Schwab saw an uptick in what they call transactional cash balances, especially in September,
Okay.
which basically means people are feeling more comfortable spending money,
Interesting.
which could be a good sign for the economy overall.
Yeah. Less fear, more spending. Maybe a sign that consumers are feeling cautiously optimistic too. But that brings us to the big question. What are they going to do with all that cash? Will we see those shareholder rewards everyone's been waiting for? Dividends, buybacks?
Well, they're definitely feeling the pressure. Shareholders are eager to see some return on their investment, especially with Schwab sitting on such a huge pile of cash.
Right. So what are they saying? Any hints about their plans?
They've hinted at the possibility of giving some of that capital back to shareholders, but they're also really stressing this commitment to being financially careful. They mentioned wanting to pay down some of the debt they took on earlier this year before making any big moves.
Makes sense. They're in a strong position, but they don't want to rock the boat. It's like they're playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers.
Exactly. And that strategic approach seems to be working for them. They're showing investors they understand that balance between rewarding shareholders and making sure the company is stable for the long haul, which is huge in today's market.
Absolutely. Speaking of uncertainty, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the upcoming election. How's Schwab navigating that whole thing, especially with such a diverse client base?
Well, they're doing what any smart company would do, acknowledging the uncertainty but not picking sides.
Right.
They know their clients have a whole range of political views, and they're walking that line carefully.
Yeah, it's a tightrope walk, for sure.
Yeah,
No one wants their financial advisor suddenly sounding like a political commentator. It's about trust and objective advice.
exactly. And Schwab's message has been really consistent. They're focused on giving the best possible service and guidance to their clients, regardless of their political beliefs. It's all about helping investors make good financial decisions, no matter what's happening in the world. And that's powerful.
It really is. Before we wrap up this deep dive into Schwab's performance, I want to go back to something you said earlier about investors craving stability and trust right now,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
more than ever.
We're definitely seeing a flight to quality. Investors are looking for institutions they see as reliable and trustworthy.
And Schwab seems to be capitalizing on that.
100%. They've really emphasized their commitment to customer service, transparency, and long-term value, which is exactly what investors are looking for in this environment.
It's amazing how they've managed to come through all the craziness even stronger and more trusted. They're not just riding the waves, they're charting their own course.
Yeah, it's like they've really tapped into this shift in how investors are thinking and they're adapting, which is so important in this environment.
Absolutely. But speaking of adapting, for you, some people might say that sitting on all that cash seems kind of well safe, especially with so much potential for growth and innovation in the financial world. Do you think they're being too cautious?
That's the big question, isn't it? It's a balancing act for sure. Paying down debt is definitely smart, especially with everything that's going on. But then again, that capital could be used in other ways too, right? New technologies, maybe some strategic acquisitions, or even just taking our customer service to a whole other level.
It's like they're at a crossroads right now. Which path are they going to take? They've shown they can handle a huge merger, like the Ameritrade thing. They're rolling in cash. And they've got their clients' trust. So what's next for Schwab?
That's what makes it so interesting. It really feels like a turning point. Do they stick with this steady-as-she-goes approach, focusing on slow and steady growth? Or do they make a big move and really shake things up using all that financial power? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, Schwab's going to be the one to watch.
Couldn't agree more. It's really a masterclass in building a business that lasts, adapting to the market, and never losing sight of what their clients need.
Yeah.
So what's the key takeaway here for our listeners? What can we learn from Schwab's success?
I think it really comes down to trust and playing the long game. They've always prioritized relationships over just trying to make a quick buck. They haven't been afraid to make tough choices, even if it means giving up some short-term wins to build something that lasts. And they've proven that even when things are crazy, being open and honest with your clients can actually be a winning strategy.
Well said. Schwab's story reminds us that success, whether it's finance or anything else, is a marathon, not a sprint. So if you're out there listening, whether you're a seasoned investor or just starting out, remember to stay informed, think long-term, and never underestimate the power of trust. That's it for today's deep dive into Charles Schwab's Q3 performance. We hope you found it helpful. As always, keep learning, keep asking questions, and stay engaged with the companies and ideas that are shaping the financial world. Until next time, happy investing.